All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and George is on vacation. So it's just me today. Hello, Miguel, JM, and Barry. Thank you guys. First one's here. So hopefully everybody had a good day. I'm going to start with Bitcoin, of course. Just fixing my tech support isn't here, so I'm doing a little fixing myself. All right, so welcome. Happy Friday. Today was a change. Today was a big change up. I'm going to go over this was a good week. This is Green Day number 4. Good evening, Cameron. Thanks for stopping by. So I'm just going to look at this real quick. The S&P was up over 1%. The Dow just a little under 1%. The NASDAQ is on fire, and that was up over 2%. The Russell was up 1%, and still, I don't know why, but still, it seems like Bitcoin is trading along with the NASDAQ. There was a time where everything was red today except the NASDAQ. And I'm going to go to my Bitcoin. Oh, this is not the right time frame. Zoom in. So, this was the market open today. So we had a nice day, and this last green candle was the market close. So it raced up big time right after the market closed. It exactly touched our line of resistance, and we've pulled back for a little while. But I'm not saying this failed. This is just we're on a 15-minute time frame right here, so give it a minute. Let me go to the 1 hour. Yeah, so boom. So I think we're still okay. This was a huge update this was from 7 o'clock, and I'm Eastern Standard Time. So this was from 7 o'clock until 4:15. Bitcoin was up 5.75%. And it was during the trading day, it was just up. It was straight up. It took a little pause and then just kept going up all day. The Bitcoin miners, a couple of them acted a little weird, but basically we were green today. So who wasn't green? Gree was down. One of the things that happened is I commented yesterday, on a totally sideways day, all the miners were very green. So some of what happened today is, everything balanced out a little bit and caught up to itself, because obviously Bitcoin raged today. And some of the miners were, not up nearly as much, and some of them were red. I don't know. So Gree, Iris, Wolf, Any, and pretty soon I'm going to stop counting that as a miner, and DMG Blockchain and DigiHost were all red. Some of these were down big time. But from the top, these first 7 or 8 are the big miners, so they were pretty much all up. The one that I would say underperformed is Bitfarms, was up 1.84%, and that was less than CleanSpark. Ended up 7%. It was up 10 to 12% all day, and then there was a sell-off. Even though Bitcoin was racing up, the miners were selling off in the last 15 minutes of the day, so there was a little bit of a pullback. Cameron, Bitcoin resistance again at 42. I know. You can see it's ridiculous. We touched this line and then just shot back down. But I am confident we're going to go past that line, and I'm going to zoom out. I'm shooting for this line. The purple line at 45,700. That's my goal. That's my goal for the weekend. So, of course, it could turn around and tank right now. We all know. But we're set up again. Everything is set up right now to continue this run. So, until something shows me different, I think we're headed up. This was some short-term resistance, but I mean, we had just spent 10 hours going straight up. So, you know, we pulled back for an hour, and now we have a small green candle again, so we'll see what happens. Hey, jury, how are you? Colton, is that somebody I'm missing? Is that a miner that I'm missing from my list? So we have I don't know if any of you are following the 10K challenge along, but in the 10K challenge, I have these 3 stocks. So Bitfarms was up 1.8%. Cleanspark was up 7%, but like I said, that was almost a little disappointing. It was up 10 to 12%. It was up 12% at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it ended up basically 7%. So that's still a nice day, but it's not what it was. Hut hung around all day, up 3.5%. Hive had a good day. Riot has been on fire. I'm going to release... Oh, Barry's saying Bitfarms was down. Yeah, I saw. I never saw it down as much as 7, but I saw it. It was down in pre-market all morning, way worse than everybody else. And then, you know, it kind of fixed itself. And at one point, it was up 4 or 5%, and then it pulled back a little. So I don't care. I'll take it. It's in the green today. It was up 8 or 9% yesterday when Bitcoin did nothing. So I'm not going to complain about this week's action. I thought the Bitcoin miners behaved pretty well this week. So Bitfarms is still under $4. So somebody in the Discord pointed out that the last time Bitfarms was at $4, Bitcoin was at $43,000. So I guess from that perspective, it's on track, but this is way oversold. They just had some good news. So I'm going to look at that. I got to change the way this looks. All right, I'm coming back to that because it's being slow. Oh, there we go. Normal. That's what I want. Normal. Yes. All right. So 388, did it even hit? It got to 399 today, so it's really resisting $4 big time. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Jam saying Riot marketing paying off. Riot does a good job reporting progress. Plus, they're on it. I have a Riot video sitting waiting. As soon as this live stream is done, I'm going to post it. I think Riot has been doing the right thing. They're just spot on their monthly reporting, and that is key because even though everybody's doing monthly reporting, depending on the miner, it's hit or miss. They don't always do what they say they were going to do. But Riot's been like clockwork, and they've had a nice run up there. I want to go look at that because it's... So this is Riot on the 2-hour time frame. So this was Tuesday. So from Tuesday to this was the close today. They're up 44% this week. That's a massive, massive move up. So we're seeing moves like this. I want to show you one other one, because this is crazy. And this is one, I feel like it's almost time to be careful. This is one of my big positions, and I have actually been selling. I have stock and options in most of these. I've gotten rid of almost all of my CleanSpark options, because when you see the run-up this thing has had, if I go from February 24th, so that's not even 1 month ago. Oh, no. That's 67%, but where I really want to go, that's not where I want to go. I want to go from its recent low. So everything bottomed out on January 24th. That was the bottom literally for every single Bitcoin miner. Some exceptions down here with the new ones, but for the, you know, these 10 or 12, they all bottomed out the same day on January 24th. So if you go from that January 24th low, if you bought in on that day or averaged in or whatever, it's up 120% in 2 months. So that is a massive, massive run up. So I'm holding my stock, but I've sold almost every CleanSpark option that I have because, I mean, I feel like I'm getting greedy at this much of a run up. It's almost due for a pullback. Although when you look at the big picture, these things are all still, you know, very oversold in my opinion. Let me catch. I don't have George to read the chat, so I gotta multitask, which is not my. That's not my strong point. Kirby's asking, the HUT results didn't make you want to sell. I thought the results were fine, but everyone else was complaining about them. I know. Well, that's a good point. It is unbelievable how much people complain about the earnings results on all of these Bitcoin miners. And the thing is, like, you know what they're going to be. They give us a monthly update of how many Bitcoin they've mined each month. And the other thing is the income statements. This is something I'm working on right now, and I'm going to put this together and provide it to everybody because the income statements on Bitcoin miners are unbelievably confusing. They have a massive amount of one-time only things. They have a massive amount of accounting adjustments where, you know, nothing's actually happened. You just have to make these giant accounting adjustments. And, you know, they have a lot of non-cash events. There's a lot of stock, you know, stock that's given as compensation. Well, that's non-cash. And I know, you know, it means something, but it represents infinitesimally small dilution. And it does not cost the company any money. But yet, you know, they got to write it off and take a huge hit on the income statement. So between that and depreciation, you know, you can't get to the bottom of one of these income statements. I mean, I was a CPA, and I got to sit there and tear them apart to figure out what really went on. So I'm going to try to create a cheat sheet that makes more sense, that gets more to the bottom of, you know, what was actual operations, because I think that's why people complain so much about all these. They're so confusing, and, you know, everybody ends up losing money on paper, but that doesn't mean they really lost money. Mike's saying the moon is bright tonight. Moon stock ticker or the moon? Are we following the cycle of the moon? Because I know a lot of people are doing that with Bitcoin, and George is one of them. He's always mentioning to me the full moon, the new moon. Miguel saying CleanSpark is the best Bitcoin mining company in my opinion. I mean, that is one of my big positions, but like I just said, it just ran up like wild. So I'm holding my stock. I'm not going to sell my stock in any of these. It's even CleanSpark, which has run up 120%. I mean, this thing was in the 20s in November. It's at 11, right? It could do, you know, it's at 12 essentially. It could do another double just to get back to where it was, and they're a bigger company now than they were then. So I think all these should do more than a double. I'm expecting. So the options are dangerous, you know, because there's ups and downs. So that's what I try to play. Like, we just caught 122% upswing in the options for CleanSpark. So, sorry, hold on. Somebody's vehicle is beeping. Fixed. It was me. Thank you. All right, I'm back. Cameron agrees with Miguel. CleanSpark. So, I mean, I love CleanSpark. I love what they're doing. They do have a different philosophy. Some people don't like it. They're spending their Bitcoin. And there's people that love that, and there's people that don't like it. Mike, you want me to zoom out on CleanSpark? Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a local top. Like, if you zoom out on this, let me go to the daily chart. Back here, you know, by the time you get years ago, it's not really that relevant. But this was CleanSpark last January. So that's just a little over 1 year ago. These guys were at $42. And mind you, at this point, this is January 8th. They had just started Bitcoin mining, and they had mined about 50 Bitcoin altogether in the history of their company when they were up here. And this downward spiral is not due to dilution. It's not like they have the same market cap, but they diluted themselves. Their market cap is just a tiny fraction of what it was a year ago. And you know, this was when it was microgrid. It was trading off of these numbers as the microgrid. Now, I mean, who even talks about that part of the business? It's so small, and I think they're going to try to sell it or spin it off, or I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at this, so this isn't the 52-week because it's a little bit outside of 52 weeks, but even up 122%, it's still down 71%. So, you know, that's why I'm dumping my options, but I'm not selling the stock because, like, this is a super realistic price target, in my opinion. I have to say it's not financial advice. You guys know that. But that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, this thing was over here. This was at $42. All I'm looking is for a double is somewhere around where it was 4 months ago. So I think that's realistic. And they all look like this. In fact, most of them are better than this because CleanSpark has had an unusual run-up. So most of them have a lot more way to go to get to their, you know, November high. And even if Bitcoin doesn't hit its all-time high, I believe most of these stocks should pass their all-time high because there's so many multiples bigger right now than they were. I mean, if you saw that's one of the things. Riot's revenue was up 1,400% year over year. So, and that was 2021, and we know they've already grown a lot. They're going to 4x their exahash rate in 2022. So these things should be multiples bigger. They're still, in my opinion, all way oversold. And so I'm holding the stock. And I moved out of some of these options and into some other companies that have not had a huge run-up. And I'll tell you one of them, Hut 8, Kirby was asking about. I actually bought some Hut 8 options. My stock positions I have not messed with too much because I feel like I'm pretty full on all my stock positions just in the mining space. I'm adding some in other sectors because there's some good stuff, I think, coming around in some other sectors. But, you know, I already filled up on miners. So I averaged in all the way down to the bottom, and now I'm probably not going to buy or sell. I'll just, you know, swing trade options to try and see if we can make some extra money along the way as these stocks go up, which I think is what they're going to do. Mike saying full moon. Yes, the stocks are linked to astronomy. Well, tell me what to do then. I thought full moon was bad. Did you hear about the buyout for NNDM? Asks Leslie. And no, I did not. So I want to go there right now because shame on me, because this is one of my positions. I don't see anything on here. Did you see that in the chat? Is there something official? Was there a press release? Did they give an amount they're talking about? So you're saying somebody's thinking about buying them out? Because they're a steal right now. They're under $1 billion market cap. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was them, I wouldn't sell for anything less than $5 billion at a minimum. Oh, JM saying the Hive interview. Yes. Have you guys seen my interview with Frank Holmes and Iden from Hive? I was really surprised. They were very open. I thought I had a great conversation with them. I'd like to know what you guys think. Most of the feedback was positive, so Kirby's saying not sure whether to dollar cost average into HUT or expand your cores position. I mean, I'm very diversified, so I think I'm in 8 of these miners. So I'm not equally weighted, not all equally weighted, but I do have 8 positions. And I can tell you, Bitfarms, CleanSpark, and believe it or not, DigiHost. I think those are my 3 biggest positions. Now, DigiHost does not have options, so I can't mess around with them. I just gotta hold the stock. And it got beat down bad, so I'm just holding it. I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in HUT 8 personally. Having said that, Core Scientific is a monster. I mean, they're an absolute monster. Full moon equals bull moon, says Rob. Okay, Leslie's saying so. Somebody posted it on Reddit, and it's a rumor. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the Nano Dimensions. I'm not sure if any of you guys follow Nano Dimensions. So I have Nano Dimensions. If you follow my 10K challenge, that is one of the stocks that I hold in the 10K challenge. I hold that also personally. And yeah, I think this stock has massive... I have it up on the screen, so I'm just going to show you. Here's one of the things. And you got to be careful because sometimes this doesn't mean what it seems to mean. But in this instance, their market cap is $943 million. And their cash... They have $1.4 billion in cash. And if you look, they have no debt. $3 million in debt. Their cash burn rate is small. This company is going to be making money. And they got another $1.4 billion. They've done a couple acquisitions. They got their eyes on a bunch of other things. So, I mean, I think this is a huge potential stock, in my opinion. And let's see. I mean, so it had a really good week. Monday, everybody had a bad day. But the rest of the week, it went from $3 to $3.68. But it's still ridiculously, ridiculously low. Is anybody else even in NNDM? Barry's asking, why is NEO going so well this week? Thank you. Great question. Let me go to my other list, which is... the EVs. NIO, XPeng, and Li. Those are the 3 Chinese EV companies. Those 3 companies went absolutely ballistic this week. Now, they're super, super volatile companies, and I personally have no confidence in them at all. I do like a bunch of the other EVs, and that's a sector I follow closely, but I don't invest in these guys, and I'll show you why. All 3 of these look the same, but I'll go to NIO since somebody asked about NIO. Barry asked. So this is my, so you can see, I follow this along even though I don't invest in it. Like Neo's going down in a straight line. When you zoom out, this is the daily candles. So this goes back to, this is a year ago. So this high at around 55. So let's forget this one. This high at 55 was June 30th, so middle of the year. They're now, if you look at the run they just went on, this was Tuesday. They're up 63% since Tuesday. And it's the same thing for XPEV, XPeng, and Li Automotive as well. They all, I'm going to go to one of those. They all did the same thing. So from the absolute low to the absolute high, this was from Monday to Friday up 65%. I mean, you just don't see that. But the problem is, like, here's last week. So, you know, this stock is down. This was February 17th. This was 1 month ago. So after a 65% run up in a week, it's still got to run up another 42% just to get back to where it was a month ago. So these stocks have been falling. So they had a big giant bounce. I did not do this, but I was actually going to buy some puts on Neo because until I see a longer term trend. So this, I mean, this purple line only goes back to, this is 2022. This was the first day of 2022. So in my mind, they really haven't, even with this giant run up, they're still running into this line. And that's just a descending line, and they've been doing that, and it goes, and you can go backwards. I mean, they've been under this purple line for a long time, just going down. So they had a wild run up, but I'm probably gonna kick myself on Monday. If they run up again next week, I will buy some puts on them, because now the puts on the large cap EVs are very expensive. There's a lot of volatility built into the price of those, so that's why I usually don't buy them. But with this kind of a move, it's very tempting. All right, I'm just going to read the chat for a second. Samuel saying, how do you explain CleanSpark being ahead of the others in price action? It doesn't make that much sense. The only thing I will say is they were down, and it doesn't make sense. Trying to make sense out of which one of these moves first or second is, you know, the funny thing is, over a longer period of time, they've all done almost the identical thing. I went through this, I think, in a video last night where I showed from the high to the low, they were, every single one of them was down somewhere between 70 and 75%. And then, and from the high being November 9th and the low being January 24th. Give or take a few days for some of the miners. So they all did, even though it seemed like a bumpy ride and they were all doing different things, when you zoom out, they all did the exact same thing. The worst one out of all of them was CleanSpark. It was down, and it wasn't a big difference, but it was down more like 76%. And I think that's the only one. Most of them were down 72 or 73. Now, that's a very small difference, so that does not explain the run-up. And the other thing is, you see a white line on all my charts right here. This is the actual day. So the September 29th was the real day, where that was the end of the bear market in September. If you guys remember, September was awful. This was September, and, you know, we thought that was bad, and that's only because we didn't know this was coming. So this was that line held all year. So that as Bitcoin hit a local bottom this line of support held for almost every single Bitcoin miner for really the rest of the year until late December. So December 27th, Bitcoin peaked again a little bit, and then after that, you know, a lot of these broke under this line. CleanSpark is above this by quite a bit. This entire candle is above this today. Almost nobody is even back to this. I considered this like a solid line of support, kind of an all-time low type of a line. But if you look at, I'm just going to look at HUT because we were talking about that. I mean, here's the white line on HUT. It's nowhere, it still has to go. So whereas CleanSpark has already cleared that line, HUT's got to go up, you know, another 30, 31% just to get to its low from September. Bitcoin is at the same number. Bitcoin's at 41,600 or 700 right now. So I think that's actually even a few hundred higher than it was over here. So Bitcoin's about the same, if not higher. All of these companies are multiples bigger than they were back in September. If you remember, the exahash rates really started to accelerate in the second half of 2021. And if everybody does what they say they're going to do, they're all going to go through the roof in 2022. So this is one. That's why I sold some CleanSpark options and bought some HUT options, because to me, HUT from its bottom is up 25% and CleanSpark's up 122%. And you know, if you want to ask me what the reason for that is, my answer is I don't know. I don't think there's any good reason. And I think if 3 months from now, if we look back, we're going to see it was a timing difference and they will both have done roughly the same thing. And not every single one of these companies is created exactly equally. They all have very different ways that they're going about funding themselves and holding or spending their Bitcoin and having alternative lines of revenue. So you really get a sense as I start talking to some of these people. You know, Frank talked a lot about their business model, and it's at Hive, and it's very different. Everybody's got their own way of coming at this. If you guys have not watched that Hive video, I would watch it because they were very candid, and I was surprised. They are not happy with their stock price. And they were up 4.5% today to get up to $2. So they're not pleased with their stock price, and you know, usually you don't get. I'm not used to getting a reaction. You know, management is like athletes. They just, you know, everybody played a good game. You know, all that kind of stuff, and you don't get any actual answers. But these guys were really very open, and they had a few choice words for Kevin O'Leary as well. So you might want to check that out just to hear what they had to say about that. I definitely thought they were going to give me a no comment on that, but they talked about it. So Ryan's asking, which miner do you believe is the greenest of the bunch? Well, if you ask Frank Holmes at Hive, they are the cleanest miner. There's 3 or 4 miners that seem like kind of try and self-proclaim that title. The one thing Frank Holmes did say is they're not buying any carbon credits. Every single Bitcoin facility they have is mined off of what is considered green energy. You still leave a carbon footprint behind. So that's the other thing that this conversation needs to change. The Bitcoin miners are being held to some higher standard that's not reasonable. There is no industry that's 100% perfect at anything. So to expect the entire Bitcoin mining industry to move to 100% carbon neutral is ridiculous. I mean, the world's energy is 20% carbon neutral. So how is the entire Bitcoin mining sector supposed to get to 100%? It just doesn't, it's not a reasonable expectation, and it's not going to happen. There will be certain of them that get there. CleanSpark, it's right in the name, but they actually are very clean. I think HUT 8 and Bitfarms are very clean, Are they 100%? No, but, you know, they have, most of the Canadian miners have a lot of, they got, you know, they have wind and they have water and, you know, they have cold weather, so they don't have to run the AC to cool the machines nearly as much. So I think there's a lot of green miners. I think almost all the miners are making a very good conscious effort. Some are doing better than others. I will say, the one thing I did find interesting, I read Riot's 10K and their letter to, you know, they responded to a bunch of those senators, including Elizabeth Warren, and they were pretty straight up, like, we're not going to be 100% green. We're doing a good job. We're going to get better, but like that's not even their goal at all. And their press release doesn't even mention green energy. It's the only Bitcoin miner I've seen to put out a quarterly report, and you know they don't even talk about being clean. DigiHost catching some heat here in Buffalo. People are pissed about the noise. Yeah, apparently their next project is shut down. So I'm from that neck of the woods. I don't know if you're there, Rob, or not, but I grew up in Rochester, so I caught a lot of Buffalo Bills games, unfortunately. Oh, though in the 80s that was good. So yeah, I mean, DigiHost, I know they're running into trouble in New York, and reading Bit Digital's financial statements, they're running into a problem because they were going to have DigiHost. They had a 100 megawatt facility that they were working with DigiHost, and New York said no and shut them down. So I don't understand what New York is doing. I know the noise definitely is a thing, but they're using clean energy. China's going to start the money printer. That's why Chinese stocks are doing good. It might be I just don't trust them. China's pumping the market, complete manipulation. Yeah, that's why I'm saying if they keep running up, I'm more likely to. I will not short. I don't short. I just don't do it. It's too risky. But I'll buy options, because then I know what my downside is. Jury's asking, what is your opinion of Block, which used to be Square? I don't. That's the strangest name change ever. No, it's not. Facebook to Meta, in my opinion, is the strangest name change ever. I mean, Block got oversold big time. So a lot of things in that space, you know, I feel the same way about. Let's look at it, but Block and PayPal and they probably still have their ticker as Square. Yep. They're way up from their 52-week low now. So they've recovered, but they're still down over 50% from their 52-week high. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see these small. So they've had a nice little run up here, but still they're way off of their highs. I'm not invested in this company. It's not, I feel like it's adjacent to the Bitcoin miners. It's certainly not the same company in any way, shape, or form, but I think it's going to move with them in some ways. Like big tech seems to be. We seem to be following the NASDAQ, so I'm trying to stay away from these kind of companies because I feel like by being in all the Bitcoin miners, I'm almost indirectly, I feel like I'm invested in the NASDAQ heavily. Jury was saying it was a roast show, but they did not burn Bitfarms. Hey, Jeff. How are you? Good afternoon. Jury saying Hive, in my opinion. I assume he's answering which one's the most clean miner. Barry's saying, yeah, there was no brotherhood amongst Canadian miners. I don't know if you're talking about my interview with those guys. Yeah, I did. They were pretty candid about that, too. Let's just say they had a few choice words about Hut 8. So, and I like Hut 8. I think they're great. I love their business plan. They have a very different business plan than everybody else. And, you know, Sue Ennis sat down with me and took the time to go through what they do. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate Frank and keep forgetting his name. He's only the president of the company, but appreciate those guys sitting down with me too. But I like, you know, I like Hut 8. I'm not going to bash them. I know, you know, that's the direct competition. And you're right. You would have thought there would be some brotherhood amongst the Canadian miners, but I guess it's every miner for themselves. Mike's saying it's like asking gold miners to stop using machinery. Right, who's counting? We all know. Well, if you don't know, most of us probably know mining gold uses way more energy than mining Bitcoin. Nobody has ever said a word about that. So, you know, why is it the Bitcoin mining industry that has to achieve perfection, or else they're awful? And, you know, Kevin O'Leary is spreading FUD as hard as he can for anybody that will put a microphone in front of him. And I don't know if you guys have seen what he said. He was on Meet Kevin and he reiterated, but he's tweeted it. He's said it on multiple different shows. It's a ridiculous position, in my opinion. He has an agenda. He must be starting his own mining thing, because he says all the Bitcoin mining companies are, I think he called them garbage, dirty garbage. You'll have to look at it to see, but it was something along those lines. I mean, it was ridiculously negative. And these are all companies he was investing in and promoting. You know, he hated Bitcoin forever until he loved it. And then he loved the Bitcoin miners until now they're garbage. So, you know, he's got to make up his mind. Oh, Rob, you're in Cheektowaga? All right. So, are you anywhere near any of the machines? Maybe you can get us some inside DigiHost information. My Riot price target for next week. I particularly am steering away from short-term price targets, because this stuff has been so volatile, and, you know, it's been really since November 9th, the volatility in Bitcoin has, and the unpredictability is just off the charts. So, long-term price target, I think they're going way up from here. I think we are just about to kick off a nice little bull run in Bitcoin, but we're right exactly where we were right before the war broke out in the Ukraine. And, you know, instead of getting that last confirmation I was looking for, all of a sudden the market tanked, you know, the equities tanked, Bitcoin tanked, everything tanked. Well, we're right back there right now. So I believe that, you know, and again, I will not be surprised at all if the opposite happens, because that seems to be what's going on. But if you look at all the indicators, it looks like we're going to at least take a run at 45,000. There's some strong resistance there. But, you know, we're a little under 42, and I think we're going to take a run at 45,000. So I think all the miners should have a good week next week. But, you know, maybe that's going to get put on hold for a week, and that'll be 2 weeks from now. There's too much geopolitically going on and all these other things. At least the Fed spoke, so, you know, we don't have that hanging over our heads. That was a big, I feel like that was this week. This week, we just had 4 green days in a row. That's got to be the first time in 2022. And I think it was just getting the Fed out of the way, and they said literally exactly what everybody thought they were going to say. So there was no surprise, but I guess just taking the uncertainty out of it helped the market run. Samuel's saying he got out of DigiHost. He does not have conviction in them. Reinvested into Hive and Hut. I mean, Hive and Hut are two of my positions as well, so I can't argue with those. And the risky thing about DigiHost is they're very small cap. So that presents a higher risk. They don't have the kind of balance sheet that Hut 8 has. That's what Hut 8 in particular. Hive has a great balance sheet. Hut 8 has a very strong, massive balance sheet. So, those are probably safer investments. I would go as far as to say that. But I like DigiHost. When I do my calculations of, who's the cheapest per exahash, they're always first or second. But there's a reason for that. It's because there's more risk involved in these small cap stocks. I thought once they moved on to the NASDAQ, which they did, that would change. But they're still trading at very low volume. I'm going to pull them up. I just can't believe the volume these guys trade at. Oh, yeah. That's not their ticker. I mean, they traded 118,000 shares on the NASDAQ. That is extremely low. They're an $81 million market cap company, so they're like 1/10 the size all the rest of the companies we talk about, and they're trading 118,000 shares. And I'm just gonna pick one, pick a miner. I'm gonna pick Bitfarms, but if you guys tell me any miner I pick, you're gonna see it's 6 million. So those guys are trading 118,000 shares. And these guys are trading 6 million shares a day, and that's why it's so much more illiquid still. And I also think, and I don't know why, I don't understand why they don't have options. So when there's no options, there's no way to backstop your position, and I do think that discourages investors. So they're the only ones right now that don't have options that moved over to the NASDAQ. Jeff saying we may see some of the big tech companies buy out a Bitcoin miner or two. And that is interesting because I will tell you, in Riot's annual report, in management's discussion, they basically all but said they're going to buy out some of the competition this year. They said they see consolidation and they see themselves being the beneficiary of that consolidation within Bitcoin miners. So, I mean, translation, they plan on buying some companies. Mike Robinson saying Hut, buy Hut, I believe. Central banks are worried about losing their grip on the financial ecosystem. I know, I think they're too worried about it. These things can coexist, and this ship has sailed. Bitcoin is here, and they can try and put it in a box to whatever extent they want to, but it's reached critical mass. It's here. It's not going away. So they got to find a way to coexist peacefully with the decentralized financial stuff that's coming into existence. Wim is saying CleanSpark, big jump this week. Yes, huge jump this week. Mike saying the war in Ukraine was a diversion. Diversion for in general, or a political diversion? I know it diverted the stock market and it diverted Bitcoin. That's how it affect. Well, that's trivial compared to the war itself, I understand, but it did have that effect on the markets. DigiHost has issues with Sierra Mountain Club and others trying to stop them in New York. Yeah, and I think they are having success stopping them. So that does make me nervous. They're going to have to find alternative locations. And DigiHost is, I mean, they're a Canadian miner. I mean, parts of Buffalo are, you may not, well, some of you may realize it's on the border of Canada, so. but on the East Coast. Oh, we're on them. Let's... So they say they're Buffalo, New York. But I don't think that's true. See, it's DigiHost at CA. This is a Canadian company. They have some operations in Buffalo, but... But I don't know. It's not working out well. New York is starting to get well known for being non-business friendly, unfortunately. And you know, they're going to be. It's not just the noise; it's the green. Although, you know, they're using hydropower, so I don't see why they have any problem with that. But they don't want them there. And so far, they're winning. Zero Views is saying when Bitcoin hits around 150K, CleanSpark will be over $100. Not sure how long it will take, but I'll be patient and wait for it to play out. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what CleanSpark's going to be next week, but I'm looking. What's going to be in 2 years or 3 years. And I don't know how long it's going to take Bitcoin to get to 150K. We all have our own different ideas. I'm sure if you would have asked everybody this time last year, they would have thought we'd have already been there by now. So obviously that didn't happen. We've gone a little sideways and down unexpectedly. But long term, zoom out, big picture, we're still going up. And I think we will hit 150,000. And you know, Zero Views thinks CleanSpark will be at 100. I'll tell you this, I think it's going to be at some much larger multiple of 10. It's at basically 10. It's at $12 right now. So 120 would be a 10x. 60 would be a 5x. I'd be just fine with that. You know, if you're 5xing your money, Angelina, hello. Wow. Welcome. If you're 5xing anything that 5x's in 2, 3 years, 4 years, that's just, I mean, you can't argue with that. If you're expecting a higher return than that, you're going to end up disappointed. WLG, thank you. Romeo Power, mother of all short squeezes. I hope you're right. I mean, I don't think they need a short squeeze. I have a lot of stocks that I'm invested in that are short squeeze candidates, but that is not why I'm invested in them. I think they're going up. Romeo, in my opinion, is going to go up all on its own. If it gets a short squeeze, that would be awesome. I always love when there's the additional potential for a short squeeze because that's just a giant bonus. I have a pretty nice sized position in Romeo, and I have a high level of confidence in what's going on there. Let's just say that. They're, I think they're ready to have a breakout. I think. Although I don't think I could work there because they're too cheery. They're very rah-rah. John says, really appreciate these videos. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, John. My pleasure. Jeff D'Agostino saying, war also made COVID magically disappear in the U.S. That's true. That went from the most important thing that's ever happened to out of the news cycle. So we'll see. Maybe it'll come back around. Jeff's saying, isn't New York also putting the screws to GREE? And I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to read in. I don't remember that off the top of my head. But if GREE's trying to do something, New York's probably putting the screws to them. So I'll double check that. $2.79 million shares bought yesterday. I think he's talking about Romeo. I'll just pull up Romeo because it's in the I own this in the 10K challenge. Do you guys know what the 10K challenge is? Is anybody watching the 10K challenge videos? So they had unusual volume today. 10,000 shares today is double their average volume. So, you know, a short squeeze is going to be 80,000 or 80 million or 100 million, but still, that's unusual volume. And they were up 6.79%. I mean, this is what this is the week. They're just going up. They bottomed out, in my opinion. There's a lot of stocks that bottomed out. And that this was in the down 90% club. When a stock is down 90%, if it's not going out of business, for me, this is not financial advice, but my own personal rule, if there's a stock down 90% and it is not imminently going out of business, I buy it because stocks rebound and fluctuate. And this company, I actually think, is a really good company that's actually going to make a lot of money and be many multiples bigger. So the fact that they're down 90%, I mean, they have an unusual story. I did a deep dive video on it if you want to check it out. They had a massive supply chain disruption, like on a level past all these other companies. They literally had to stop production for 2 quarters. So I get why they got beat up, but then it just kept going. You know, now they're back up and running, and they just kept beating them down to a point they got down to, let's see, $1.29 from $13.64. So that's over 90% down. You know, so they're only back to $1.73. This stock could easily get to, where's my Romeo? So these two right here, Romeo was up 6.79% today, and Arrow I also hold in the 10K challenge, and that was up 7.14% today. So those two had good days, and those two are two that bottomed out. Arrow's another one. Arrow's still only $1.35. I mean, that was an $11 stock. It's still down almost 90% right now, even after the amount it's recovered. Samuel says, yes, he watches the 10K videos, like them a lot. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm looking for, finally, we had a Friday that was not an absolute nightmare. So the 10K portfolio did very well this week. I've had a run of being way up at the end of the day on Wednesday and then getting beat up on Thursday and Friday. But that did not happen this week. In fact, it kept going in the right direction. So I'm looking forward to putting out this weekend's 10K challenge video. It was a really good week. Yeah, so the stocks that I have, and then I'll just tell you, the stocks I have in there are basically, I got Romeo and Arrow, and I do have Volta. They were down 4% today, and I have no idea why. Like, the entire EV was basically green and very green, and then for whatever reason, these guys were red. So, who knows? I will say Volta has been, since I bought it, it went on a huge run up. So, you know, it pulled back 4% today. I'll live with it. Curiosity, which is a very small company. You guys may or may not have heard of that. It's a streaming service, and I'm big on that. I'm due to do another video on that, but it's so small that nobody seems to care about them. But I like this company a lot. I think they're worth adding to your watch list. Paramount Pictures. I actually did my trade in Paramount Pictures. They're now up to $37. They got down to $28, which was just ridiculous. They were clearly going back to $35. They got back there in a heartbeat. So I pulled a quadruple on that option. So I got in and out of that much faster than I thought. I mean, it just ran right back to 35. So I sold some at a double, some at a triple, and some at a quadruple, and I'm out of that position. NNDM is one of my positions, and Immersion. and they were up 5% today. So those are some of the bigger positions in the 10K challenge. So and I like all those companies. I think they're all way oversold in my opinion. And there's so many companies that got destroyed. This hasn't happened in a long time. Like, we're now just talking about, oh, we're just moving into a bear market. The small cap high growth stocks, and I'm talking about the ones that are not even big enough to be on the Russell 2000, those are so far beyond a bear market. They're even beyond a market crash. They were in a depression. I have 150 stocks on my watch list that were down 70 or 80 or 90% in a 52-week window. That's staggering. So, I'm not buying all 150 of them, so I got to try and research and pick and choose which ones I think are the most solid companies. But there's a lot of hidden gems in there, and I'm sure I've missed a bunch of them. I missed the run on SoFi. You can only get into so many. SoFi bottomed out, and it was up 10.7% today. And I say I missed the run, but who knows? I mean, that could go to 30. Michael V is saying, I finally found out info on Cipher warrants. Exercise price $11.50 until August of 2026. Wow. Yeah, that's worth looking into. I mean, obviously, Cipher right now hasn't even... I don't even think they've started doing what they're doing yet. But by 2026... they should have executed 100% of their plan, and they plan on being one of the biggest miners. That's going to be the interesting thing. There's 7 or 8 of these new companies that have come out just swinging for the fences. We're going to be at 25 exahash by 2025. We're going to be at, and I just think they're all going to have a little bit harder time than they realize, because we just watched a lot of companies, some of which have a bunch of experience in this, and we saw it. It was very difficult for them to get from 1 exahash to 2 exahash. The big ones, Riot and Marathon, worked their way up to 3 exahash, but the amount of dilution they had to borrow billions of dollars to get themselves there. And that's not fair, because they also have huge deposits working their way up to much, much, much bigger numbers. So I have more confidence in, Riot's looking at 12.8 exahash. I think every single one of those is under contract, and they have been delivered by and large on time. So that's the positive with Riot. The negative with Riot is ESG is turning into a very big deal at the moment. So, I mean, it's always going to be a part of investing, but right now, especially the E in ESG environment, is people seem fixated on it with the Bitcoin miners. So I know Riot, just sent a letter to the Senate saying, basically, we think we're doing a good job and we're net positive for our community and for the grid and for everything. So they don't feel like they have to jump through hundreds of hoops. Just going to catch up on some comments. Green Day and the Bitcoin miners, said Mike. That's for sure. We've been in a bear market. So Jeff's saying we've been in a bear market, depression in the majority of stocks for 15 months. Thanks to the meme trade, in my opinion. And that's, I think you are 100% right, Jeff. And it really was, if you remember back in, and almost every video I do, I have to circle, like, here's January and February of 2021. Here's the ridiculous price that this stock went to. And this was all I feel like this meme stock thing really destroyed the retail investor, and I was screaming that at the time that, everybody thought, and I had personal conversation with many people regarding, the first one was GameStop, but the one that really had staying power was what's the AMC. That's still going on. And the thing is, I think that big money took advantage of that phenomenon and just wiped out all the retail investors on every other small cap stock in the entire marketplace. In addition to that, I think they made money on AMC on the way up and down and on GameStop on the way up and down. So I don't think the retail investor won on any of that. That doesn't mean that certain people didn't have good trades. I had one good trade. And I stayed out of it. When it first started, I bought an option, and that's all I was willing to do with those, because AMC, I don't want to say disparaging things, but at the time that people were going crazy with that, the movie theaters were shut down. That company was basically going out of business. So, for it to run up and 10x or 20x or whatever it did was... That's not helping. It's just not healthy. If you made some money along the way, congratulations. I mean, that's always a good thing. But most of the rest of retail investors, like Jeff is saying, for the last 15 months, as a result of that, every single other stock has gotten totally destroyed, and they've left retail investors holding the bag. Mike's saying what's staggering is that you have 150 stocks on your watch list. I have more than that. I have 150 that are down 70 or 80 or 90%. I know. I can't do a deep dive on everything on my watch list, but I do as many as I can. And I do this. I mean, I get to do this all day. So I have, there's not time for, there's only so much time, but I do keep my eye on a lot of stocks. Mike's saying by 2025, one Bitcoin equals $2 million. Or by 2026. I hope you're 100% exactly correct. I don't know what all I'm willing to say is it's going to be some massive multiple bigger than it is. I mean, think of it this way. If it gets to 400,000, that's a 10x. So even that would be a grand slam home run. If it gets to 2 million, forget it. These stocks we're looking at are going to be, instead of being micro cap or small cap, these are going to be large cap stocks if Bitcoin gets to $2 million. Oh, and that warrant closed at 52 cents on Cypher, Mike is saying. So, I mean, to me, it's got 4 years on it. So I like that one a lot. WLG is watching from, he's in line at Disney Hollywood. Oh, that's good. Hey, got to pass the time when you're in line one way or the other. I don't know who the heck I was watching, but they were talking about how Disney was having a big problem with their fast passes. So many people now have bought into the fast pass concept that it's not working anymore. In a totally unrelated topic. Rowan, hello, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining us. Mike saying Cypher looks interesting. Yeah, I mean, Cypher is another one. I'm going to pull their chart up right now. I mean, they were at $15. September. So I don't even think they were Cypher back then. This was a SPAC, right? I think this was a SPAC and they converted. Yeah, and then they had their usual massive dip. They ran back up, but this thing is down. Even if you go, forget this number, even if you go from November. So let's do this. By November, this was down 35%. So from that point, it's down another 65% right now, even though it's run up 32%. So this is what I'm saying. When a stock gets beaten down that hard, there is so much room to the upside. It's mind-boggling. So I got into a lot of stocks, and for the most part, and I would thank everybody on this stream right now. I really appreciate your positive comments because they do offset, you know, there's the few people that have to leave their nasty comments, and I leave them up. I don't delete anybody's. The only comments I ever delete, if it's spam trying to scam, you know, people looking, then I delete that. Or if it's vulgar, it gets automatically deleted. There's nothing I can do about it. But otherwise, I just leave them all up, and, you know, you can read them. I mostly just laugh at them. But it does help to have so many positive comments when you read people telling you you're an imbecile. And the thing is, they don't understand. I love, my favorite comment of all time is, oh, that aged well. And I've gotten that like 3 hours after I posted a video. It's like, that hasn't aged at all, guys. I'm looking at a 1 to 5 year time frame. You're telling me my video didn't age well after 3 hours? You're a different kind of investor. This video is not for you. Bit Digital went crazy today, and I think Bit Digital had a great week. Let's see. You know, when you look on a daily time frame, yeah, so this is Tuesday. So this is another one. I mean, this was just a good week. Monday was bad, but from Tuesday to Friday, that's a 35% run in Bit Digital. And that's one I've said many times I'm staying away from right now, but I also do think it's going to run. I mean, that's what this thing does. You can see the massive swings up and down, up and down. And this got up to, if you look at, I mean, look at this thing. A lot of people have made and a lot of people have lost money on this. These swings, this thing went from $3 and change to $20 in a few weeks. So that was a run. And actually, I think it got a lot higher than that. We're just not. Yeah, sorry. See, it got a lot higher than that. This went from $5 to $33 in a few days. Back, you know, that was a year ago. But then it did something similar to that again right here. This is the run that I caught. I did not catch this. I caught this. I feel like I got, you know, some of that I just feel like was very lucky timing. It was so obviously oversold down here. I never expected it to run up to 20. And I got out before then. I think I got out at 15 or 16. So that was a good run, and I feel like I put that one in the win column, and I've stayed away from it. But there is money to be made. They're still, I mean, look, they're just off of their absolute all-time low. This red line was like their forever support line. They went below that line. So, you know, it was a buy at that point. I'm already in 8. I stayed away from it, but I do think people will make some money here. Oh, yes. Who reminded me of that? Thank you. Please like the video and the live stream, I guess. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Positive feedback is good karma. That's what I think. I mean, I don't know. We all know, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, but it's even more than that. It's particularly when you're saying something not nice, and a lot of times, I mean, I'll just say it. A lot of times I think the people that are saying it really are not investors, and they don't even know what they're talking about, and they're slamming you. So it's like, you know, just keep it to yourself. or put it on. I don't care. A comment's got, the truth is, for me, a comment is a comment, and comments help me. So that's why I appreciate your comments so much. Not only do they help motivate me do these videos, but they help in the algorithm. So the algorithm doesn't know if it's a good comment or a bad comment. It just knows it's a comment. Barry's saying, get a MetaMask wallet for next week. It's free. I'll send. Oh, you got some hidden gem coins? All right, I'll make that my homework to get a MetaMask wallet. I tried to do that once and I gave up. So I'm sure it's easy once you know how to do it, but all that stuff, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. I hate to say it, but that's the kind of stuff I used to be able to do in my sleep, and now I give up. Also, I am obsessed with stocks almost 24 hours a day, so when anything sidetracks me, I don't give it a lot of time. Michael V said, my daughter bought 2 at only $300 back in 2015 with her wedding money. That is so awesome. That's how funny. It's just, you kick yourself, because how easy would it have been to buy 2 or 10 or 100? But the thing is, who knew? You know, hindsight's 20/20. Well, she should hold those. That's her retirement. Probably doesn't need to save any other money. That can be it right there. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce the name LOPHT. The update on Thursday really helped BTBT Bit Digital. The update did help, and I have to tell you, I did a video on that, and I kind of basically said it's really not even good news, but it's reality, and I think that makes a huge difference. People went from just totally in the dark as to what's going on there to, I think they really caught us up with, you know, I'm going to say the truth, that maybe that's the wrong words, but I think they were much more transparent than they've ever been. And even though some of it was not good news, at least now we know exactly what's going on. I feel much more comfortable with them after that. I did make a video on that exact thing. So that's why I think there's only a few Bitcoin miners left that are not doing monthly updates, and they need to get on the program, because it's hurting their stock. There's too many other companies giving excellent, timely, accurate. I mean, there's companies now getting operational updates out on the 1st of the month. So, I mean, I don't expect that, but that's great. You know, if it takes you a week, whatever, just tell us what happened. Management knows exactly what happened in the month, and if they don't, then obviously that's a much worse scenario than not telling us. Jury's saying, I would not touch BTBT again, although I made 100% with them. I had a great experience trading them one time also, so I'm just like you. I have not touched them since, and I'm afraid of them, but I do think they're going to go. I think they're going to go up, but I'm not. I picked my 8. All the millionaires in the world won't be able to buy Bitcoin in the future. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot more millionaires than there are Bitcoin. So there's going to be a lot of people on the outside looking in. Jeff, thank you. There's a link. There should be a link in the pinned comment to join the Discord. If not, go to any one of my other videos and there will be a link in the pinned comment to join the Discord. We're almost at 500 people, so please come on over and join us. A lot of you guys are already in there. Jury gave me his conversion, so now I know who he is in the, because that's the thing, everybody doesn't have the same name across platforms, so you could be talking to the same person on YouTube as you are in the Discord and you don't even realize it. So I'm sure that happens to me more than I realize. So thank you for letting me know. Yeah, Kirby, if it's constructive criticism, I don't have any problem with people completely disagreeing with my opinion. But then tell me what your opinion is and why. Right? I mean, it doesn't mean I'm wrong and they're right, or they're right and I'm wrong. You know, maybe our investing time frames are different, or maybe we just have a different, confidence that a certain thing is or isn't going to happen. I'll tell you, I just did a tattooed chef video, and I have flipped on tattooed chef. I've been doing videos on them for a year, and everything, and I went through that. I don't know if any of you are invested in that or not. I'll give you the shortcut at the end. I tell you, I am currently not invested, and it's for one specific reason. And almost the entire video is all about the positive things that they're doing. But the thing is, their gross profit margin is going down and down and down and down. And they're, you can't be in that industry and have a 10% gross, I'm talking gross profit, not net income. So their gross profit is less than their marketing expense. And they've been wrong quarter after quarter. They've been predicting their gross profit. They keep predicting a lower gross profit, but it keeps being even worse than they predicted. And, and I said that in the video. And I said, you know what? If they fix that problem, it has to do, a lot of it they say is, freight costs, but they disclose their freight costs in their 10K, and it's not freight costs. That's a very small part of what's eroding their margins. So it was a couple $1 million, but their margins eroded radically worse than that. So something's happening, and they might fix it, and they might be the greatest company ever. But all I said was, you know what? Despite all this good stuff that's going on, until they show me they can increase their profit margin, I'm going to sit on the sidelines for a little while. And somebody was extremely mad at that point of view. Barry's saying it takes 5 minutes. I promise George can help you. He is way better at that than I am. He'll take the time and go through it and figure all this stuff out. Having said that, he will not read a 10K to save his life, or really, George is not about due diligence on the stocks, but he's all about learning new stuff. Like, he's into the crypto and Michael's saying hubby wants him to buy more. Man, I would have a hard time. If I had a Bitcoin that I got for $300, I would have an awfully hard time buying another one for $40,000. Even though I think it's going to be so many multiples bigger than that. Michael, you've been away for a month. Where's George? He is here every Friday. This is the only Friday he's missed. He has some family in town visiting, and so he's with them, spending time with them. So that is why George is not here today. He will be back next Friday. I also did a couple of live streams during the week, so I'd love to do one every day, but I don't know if that's just too much, because there's always something to talk about at the end of the day, at the end of a trading day. So I'll probably add a couple extra per week, and we'll see what happens. When Bitcoin becomes the reserve currency of the world, they can buy the drapes. Yeah. Listen, if that happens, I don't know if that's where all this ends. I know that's a prevailing theory, is that, we're going to decentralize all this and all this fiat currency that they just keep printing like it's funny money. That's not going to be the future. And that might be true. I don't know. But I don't know how far away we are from that. Even if that doesn't happen, I think Bitcoin's value is massive. It has utility in a lot of different ways, but really it will be the store of value that everybody thinks that it is, just based on the way it's set up. So, in my opinion, that is the reason that I think it's going to be raised by many, many multiples as soon as the regulations are done. So we had an executive order, but that was just what we thought. It was just kind of a general outline, like, hey, give me, everybody get a report on my desk in 6 months. So we need regulations in the U.S. They need to agree to one of these spot ETFs. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. So I don't know. If I was convinced that by the end of last year we would have a spot ETF for Bitcoin, but that did not happen. So I'm not making that prediction this year. I guess they can stall for longer than I thought. I do believe it's inevitable, and it makes no sense to me that they have a futures ETF, but they don't have a spot ETF. I mean, there's just no sense to that at all, in my opinion. Jeff saying, that's what got me into the miners. I stopped buying Bitcoin around 12,000, and I buy the miners instead of Bitcoin. I will admit, I'm not invested in Bitcoin, if you can believe it. I am disproportionately invested in the miners. I do have a lot of other positions. I just showed you guys some of them, but I'm pretty heavy in the miners, and they are, over time, I believe they will be the right ones will be a highly leveraged play on Bitcoin. And yeah, ETH, I don't know what's the future of Ethereum is. I mean, it is clear there's a lot of coins, but if you look at market cap, there's Bitcoin is number 1 by a mile, Ethereum is number 2 by a mile, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all fairly similar. So, you know, that's the silver and gold, if you will, of cryptocurrency. But I had an interesting chat with Frank Holmes from Hive regarding Ethereum, because he has some very strong feelings that are very different than what everybody else is saying. And they're not negative feelings about Ethereum, but he has a high level of confidence that they will not be going to proof of stake. And I really haven't seen, off the record, almost everybody tells me that. On the record, I haven't heard anybody else say that out loud, but he's not afraid to say it. And you know, he was pretty confident about it. And he's not just saying it. They're mining massive amounts of Ethereum. They take payment in Ethereum, and they're buying more GPUs. So they're going to continue mining Ethereum. He did say, however, they spend. So they're hodling their Bitcoin 100%, and they trade their Ethereum. You know, when they mine it, when it goes up, they trade it. And, you know, they're able to pay for both operating expenses as well as some capital expenses by trading their Ethereum. But they mine a lot of Ethereum. They're by far the biggest Ethereum miner out of the publicly traded Bitcoin miners. Michael, love your live stream anytime. Thank you. Glad to hear George has family that he wants to be with, or that wants to be with him. No, we all love George, Michael said. George is George, and he's been my friend since I was a little kid. So, George, he's genuinely a very good person. So you just got to take him for who he is. The miners are the best stock to buy next to Tesla. So yeah, Tesla's had a nice run. The EV sector got beat up, and now it's just on fire, including Tesla, which I feel like was back at 900 today. 905. So it touched 700 within the last week. So that's a heck of a run. I mean, it's not like NIO, you know, the Chinese had a different kind of run that almost doesn't make any sense, but Tesla's run, you know, to go from 700 to 900, and that's nowhere near their high. I think they hit 1200 at one point. Rivian and Lucid had a nice run, although I did a very deep dive on Rivian, and I think they got some short-term issues. It may all work out for them in the long term, but I think they got some problems in the short term that it's going to take a while to fix. This year, ETH 2.0. So does ETH 2.0 mean proof of stake? Because, I mean, Frank Holmes straight out said proof of stake is not happening. And I know there's nobody else saying that. There's people arguing when is it going to happen, but I have not heard anybody else say it is not. Actually, off the record, I've heard several people say that. On the record, I've never heard anybody say that it's not happening. I saw ETH had a big step towards proof of stake this week. And that's what I'm saying. Like, everything I read and everything I see, everybody is proceeding as if Ethereum is going to proof of stake and that it's a done deal and there is no question. But behind the scenes, I got to tell you guys, a lot of people are whispering that it's not going to happen. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog. That's actually my son's dog. She's making noise in the background. So, you know, Jerry, what happens to Hive after proof of stake in Ethereum? Frank Holmes, who's the chairman of the board there, his answer is it's not going to change. You know, they have a lot of high-powered GPUs. They could mine something. The reality is, if they change, if it goes to proof of stake, even Ethereum Classic is still going to be proof of work, and there's several other things they can mine, but they will not be anywhere near as profitable. Mining Ethereum right now is like minting money. So I guess the question is, even if it's only for a short term, you know, they're making a huge. These machines are, the return on investment is unbelievable. So if the spigot gets turned off and it goes to proof of stake, then I guess they'll have to put the machines to some other use. And you know, the GPUs can mine they cannot mine Bitcoin, as you guys probably know, but they can mine almost anything else. So you guys like Solano? You know, I was following that, and then it got pummeled. But I think everything got pummeled, so I'm not sure where it sits right now. No dog. You can't hear my dog. I think that means fiat is finished. Well, I mean, they're doing everything they can to ruin it, that's for sure. Dividends in ETH. So I will tell you, the one thing I ask of all of the Bitcoin mining companies, I don't want a dividend from them. I want them to reinvest in mining machines, because that, you know, the halving is coming. And everybody's going to have to be geared up. So I'd rather see them reinvest their money. I know they're holding Bitcoin as well. Almost all the North American miners are, but there's a few that aren't. And some of the non-North American miners are spending their Bitcoin as well. I think Iris spends their Bitcoin. I'm not 100% sure. I know CleanSpark spends their Bitcoin to fund operations and capital expenditures. But, you know, you've got Marathon, Riot, Bitfarms, Hut 8 is the original hodler. All those guys, I don't think they've sold. They saved somewhere between 95 and 100% of what they mined in 2021. All of those companies I just mentioned. So that is a lot of Bitcoin that's not ever hitting the market, right? They mine it. It never hits the market. They just keep it, and they have no plans to sell it. I think they believe what, you know, some people in this chat have talked about, you know, Bitcoin 2 million. So they're not going to sell it at 40,000. You know, they may not wait till 2 million. They may average out over time, but they're not at 40,000. Yeah, in BTC as the dollar becomes worthless. I mean, and I don't know. I have I have some funny opinions about that. I think that fiat money is going to last longer than people think. They're definitely devaluing it. I mean, there's just no debate about that. They are devaluing it, and that is what is going to allow all this other stuff to have a place and a home. But I think it's going to last a lot longer than people think. It's just going to continuously be devalued. And that's been going on for a while now. But what's happened in the past few years, particularly here in the United States, I mean, they're printing money like it's going out of style. All right, this got away from me. This was a really long live stream, so I just realized it's been an hour and a half. So I'm going to wrap it up, but thank you, everybody. Does anybody have any last thoughts? Have a great weekend. This was a great week. I hope everybody had a great week trading. It was a green week in the equities. It was a green week in Bitcoin. It was a green week in the Bitcoin miners. So I hope you guys made money. Hey, Eric, how are you? I don't know why Mawson had that leap, and I'm sad that they did, because I was going to add one more miner because they were I think the reason they did is they were undervalued, and I think they may still be undervalued. I like what they're doing. I don't own any of them, so I may not get a chance to get into them, but I like what they're doing. Monday Bitcoin opening price. I mean, I'm hoping that we have a good weekend with Bitcoin. I think it's set up to finish its bull run, at least to go test 45,000. So that'll be my parting thoughts. I feel like we're set up to go test 45,000, but you guys can tell me I was wrong on Monday if it goes the other way, because with Bitcoin, you just never know. So that's what I'm hoping. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining the live stream, and thanks for your comments and watching the videos.